Utsada, good morning.
Good morning. Namaste, Ajay bhai.
Namaste, Utsada, good morning. We are live, Hindu Lounge number 19. And as always, we always have a little technical glitch here, a little technical glitch there. But the end result is always good, right? So we are
Correct.
back, we are live, and on a day which is really auspicious, right? Today is Ganesh Chaturthi. Yesterday was Ganesh Chaturthi, but today is our first show after Ganesh Chaturthi. So, Utsada, very happy Ganesh Chaturthi to you, and I hope that Ganpati Bhagwan would remove all the obstacles that you and all the viewers and we have on our show, and for everyone in the world. Bhagwan Ganpati will remove the obstacles. And I have a special request for Ganpati Bhagwan that please help us remove all the technical glitches that come across every week.
Yes, every week we decide 2 days in advance that we're going to start exactly at 11 o'clock Eastern time. And somehow, somewhere, we make up something going wrong somewhere, and we end up this time 15 minutes late, occasionally 5 minutes, occasionally 20 minutes. So we never manage to start on time. So that's
And it's always some glitch, right? Today there was a problem with the way we were restreaming it, but so that with the blessings of Ganpati Bhagwan, I hope that this obstacle is solved. But I really, I want to wish everyone very happy Ganesh Chaturthi. Yesterday it was, and if you are from Mumbai like I am, this is the beginning of a major festival that lasts for 10 days from Ganesh Chaturthi all the way to Ganesh Chaturdashi. And there are in every home, in every community, in buildings and localities, there are Ganpatis that people have. People put up Lal Bagh Charaja, that is one of the biggest Ganpatis in Mumbai. It's many stories like tall, and people are in line all day, all night for 10 days, and it is one of the most celebrated community Hindu festival there is, at least in a lot of parts of India. But Utsana, you know the history part of it, right? When the public celebration started and why they were started.
I do know quite a bit about it, but please enlighten all of us more because you are from Mumbai. So I think you are probably better. Historically, you have a better view of it because you have been seeing it and your family has been seeing it. So tell us more about.
So this is the celebration that was started by Lokmanya Tilak. And it was started as a community festival as a way to unite Hindus to take on the British. And that is the history. That is why this is not just it was always a big festival. Of course, it's Ganesh Chaturthi, but Lokmanya Tilak wanted to awaken the Hindu community and bring them together to actually take on the British. And what better way to awaken the Hindu community than to have a festival like Ganesh Chaturthi, where everyone comes together, celebrates together, and actually, if I next time I have to, one of these days, I don't know if I can dig out all the pictures from Mumbai, the way Ganesh Chaturthi is celebrated. It's very interesting. The Ganesh Chaturthi, all the Ganesh mandaps or all the displays of Ganpati, they're all, some of them are very traditional, but a lot of them have very contemporary theme. So they may have a theme of cricket. They may have a theme of other nationalist, things. Like, for example, if there is a disaster and people have the first responders have responded to it, then the theme of the Ganesh Mandap or the Ganesh display would be of, it would incorporate in some way this, the first responders as a tribute to them. And then there are always these 10-minute, 15-minute street play kind of plays that, that are, very interesting, very contemporary, and they bring out a lot of issues of social interest. So that is Ganesh Chaturthi in India. That's the way I saw it growing up, and I miss one of the festivals that I miss terribly is Ganesh Chaturthi. Utsava, in addition to Ganesh Chaturthi, it is also yesterday was also an auspicious day for Jains. It was a Samvatsari day, and Samvatsari day is the last day of Pajoshan Parva. And Pajoshan Parva is the time for self reflection and penance and fasting. And really, it lasts for 8 days, and most Jains, would observe it uh, you know, very strictly. They would go on fast. Some people fast for one day. Some people fast for 3 days. Some people fast for 30 days. 12 days or 14 days is very common. 8 days is very common, but 30 days is also not uncommon at all. And this is a time where Jains do not eat green vegetables or things that are grown underground and things like that. So it's a time where you realize that you're not only you have to you have to spend the time in self reflection and penance and all of that, but you're also spending time by taking, being cognizant of earth, and you're saying that I will take only as much as I need, and I'll be environmentally conscious, and I'll do what is right, not just for me, my fellow human beings, my fellow animals, but also Mother Earth. And at the end of this, the Jains would say to everyone, they would say, Michhami Dukram. And as a Jain, Utsoda, I want to wish all our viewers and you Michhami Dukram. And Michhami Dukram Utsoda means that if in any way, in our action, in our thoughts, or knowingly or unknowingly, if I have hurt you in any way, I ask for forgiveness. So, Utsoda, in all my sincerity to you and all our viewers, Michhami Dukram.
Thank you, Ajay Bhai, for that very beautiful description. And I grew up in Madhya Pradesh, in Bhopal. So I had lots of friends who were Jains, and I would say I had most of my friends who were Jains. So it is very interesting, and it's a very fulfilling, and it's a very self-purifying process that you go through, and it makes the world a better place. This is, thank you for this very beautiful description.
So that I am going to ask you that you have actually a quiz for our viewers today. And I'm going to ask you to share the quiz that you have for our viewers and ask the question of the day and see how many people call and reply to the question.
Okay, so drum rolls. Since it's Ganesh Chaturthi and everybody is celebrating around the world, and especially people who are worshippers of Lord Ganesh in Asia, my question is, which is the largest deity or murti of Ganesha in the world? So the question is, which is the largest deity or murti of Ganesha in the world? And you can answer by saying where it is, or you can answer by saying, the name of the temple. I'm giving you so many hints. So that's the question. And please call us, and we will look forward to hearing from you. Or you can write it down in the different places that you, either in the YouTube text or in the Facebook post where we are live broadcasting it, or in the Twitter. So the question again, which is the largest Ganesha murti in the world?
All right, so question of the day. What is the largest Ganesh murti in the world? And we are waiting for all of you to come to us and answer the question as to what is the largest Ganesh murti in the world, where is it located, and we are eagerly waiting your call. So with that, Utsoda, topic for the day. It's a very good, Utsoda. Were you going to say something?
No. Please go ahead. You have the perfect topic for the day segue. So please go ahead.
So the topic for the day was Democratic National Convention, but I want to actually come out and say that I want to thank Vice President Biden and Senator Kamala Harris for tweeting and wishing Hindus happy Ganesh Chaturthi. And we are not political. We are agnostic to politics, and we want to say that, if anyone has wished us on Ganesh Chaturthi, and they have, we want to acknowledge that, and we want to say that, look, we welcome them to the fold, and we welcome them finally recognizing at least there is a Hindu festival going on. And I want to do them justice, by the way. So I want to read out the tweet from Vice President Biden, and I want to read out a tweet by Senator Harris. So Vice President Biden, Utsada, said, and it's on the screen for everyone to see, to everyone celebrating the Hindu festival of Ganesh Chaturthi in the US, India, and around the world, may you overcome all obstacles, be blessed with wisdom, and find a path towards new beginning. And Senator Harris said, joining at Joe Biden in wishing everyone celebrating a very happy Ganesh Chaturthi Utsada, I want to sincerely thank the Vice President and Senator for wishing Hindus on Ganesh Chaturthi. Now,
yes, and
go ahead, Utsada.
yes, so I would also like to thank Vice President Biden and the Democratic nominee for the presidential election this year, as well as Senator Kamala Harris, who is also the vice presidential nominee for the presidential election, so for the Democratic Party. And thank you so much for wishing the community. And question, you want to say the question? Another question we have.
Another question. So there's a quick quiz. And look, we are Hindus. We welcome people on Hindu Fold anytime. Okay, but I just have a question. And how many times did Kamala Harris wish on Hindus on Ganesh Chaturthi? She is very proud of her mother's Hindu heritage, or Indian heritage, as she calls it. She's very proud of it, right?
Right.
So how many times, Utsoda, did Kamala Harris wish Hindus on Ganesh Chaturthi in past 11 years? So she joined Twitter 11 years ago. So how many times did she wish Hindus on Ganesh Chaturthi in last 11 years? And so that you're a political junkie, so I know you the answers, but I don't want you to give the answer. I want the answer to come from our viewers and listeners. Okay, so hold off. If you have the answer to it, hold off on that. And with that, Utsoda, I'm going to read out. So we have Vic Khandelwalji has said it is 0 times, and he says, I think. Oh, Vicji, you might be right. Let's wait for some more answers to come on this, and then when we have all the answers, we have a few more answers when we'll reveal the actual number. But we do have the actual number, so it's not something that it's not something that is unknown, right? So we'll give out the answer towards the end. Now, look, we are all happy that Senator Harris has finally discovered her Indian roots. And we are thrilled that she has wished Hindus on Ganesh Chaturthi. And we also wish that, Bhagwan Ganpati removes the obstacles from her path and everyone's path, as long as it doesn't create obstacles for Hindus elsewhere, right? So I'm sure Bhagwan Ganesh will take care of that, but I just want to be mindful of that Senator Harris, while you're asking Bhagwan Ganpati to remove the obstacles, please think of removing obstacles from the path of Hindus as well. Pray for that, please, Senator, please. And now we hope that you also discover after 11 years, or in this case after a year, that the CAA and NCR which is the Citizenship Amendment Act in India, which grants persecuted refugees, minority refugees from countries that surround India, refugee status on a fast track basis and gives them citizenship to India, are necessary for India. Please, Senator Harris, please remove obstacles from their path also. And we also hope that now that Senator Harris has discovered her Hindu roots, I sincerely hope that she is one of the first ones to go and pray at the new Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Mandir when it's built in 2 years. In fact, I wish that she is there for the opening day ceremony and she is received with high honors as a senator or as a vice president, who knows, and she is out there praying to Sri Ram on the day it is inaugurated. And we also hope that Bhagwan Ganpati removes all the obstacles from her path as Senator Harris fights Hindu phobia. Utsoda, your comments.
No, I would agree with you. And I think, we support the spirit with which things are done. But at the same time, we have to be cognizant about what is being done and how it is being done and how much the Hindu community benefits from it, or if at all it benefits from it. So I think, we will have to look at what Senator Harris's record has been historically and evaluate accordingly, as I've been saying before in our previous conversations. So this is all well and good, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating, or as they say, yeah.
So come on, Utsoda, don't bring up eating again, because last year my sister called me and said last week that you were really irritating Utsoda by talking about masala dosa and samosas, and now you bring up food again. So let me ask you this: Does she have to like now Modak in order for you to vote for her, or what?
Well, I think as I said before, it's not about platitudes, it's not about gestures, it's about what real policy positions any campaign takes. And I think, Ajay bhai, it needs to be about real stuff. It's about attitudes towards countries, in this case India, or other countries with a lot of Hindus in it, big majority of Hindus in it. And it's also about the positions they have towards the American Hindu community. And in all of these things, as we have discussed last time, there is a lot of room to cover for Senator Harris. And I really think that this is a good beginning. I'm not saying it's not a good beginning. I mean, it's always good to start somewhere, and let's see what happens.
I think it's so that it's, I think you will need another 19 episodes to kind of, get with the program here. So that's fine. I know we'll keep working on you. We'll keep raising the stake. I saw you mellow down.
I didn't see Senator Harris utter a word about the San Francisco resolution, which was Hindu phobic, and the city of San Francisco, passed a resolution that was very Hindu phobic. And she's being a senator who is very close to the Silicon Valley area and very close to the Hindu community in San Francisco. And she should have said something. She should have come on the stage and opposed such an anti-Hindu resolution that the city of San Francisco passed. It's still on the mayor's table, but the city council passed, and that's where I want to see real action.
But maybe that is the real action from her perspective. Maybe there are more votes if you take the anti-Hindu position than you take Hindu position. So at the end of the day, she's a politician, right? Why would she not do that? And so let me share this with you, and then maybe you can make some additional comments. So let me share this screen, and I want to show you this and get your reaction to this particular clip. And if you cannot hear the sound, let me know. I think I've enabled the sound sharing, but
and fight against those who would.
Were you able to hear the sound?
Yes, I was able to hear the sound.
All right. So in that case, let me play this again. Kamala Harris is Senator Harris is a fighter. Listen to what she says here.
Fight for our country and fight for our ideals and fight against those who would challenge who we are. But we are here to stand to say we are always going to fight for this country and our ideals, and we will fight against racism. We will fight against anti-Muslim rhetoric. We will fight against all.
So, and she goes on and says that she'll fight against Islamophobia and anti-Muslim. I didn't hear about anti-Hindu, and I didn't hear about Hinduphobia, and I didn't hear about the Hindu immigrants and any of that, and I didn't hear about the CAA and NCR or any of that. But I don't know. Maybe today is a new beginning for her, because she has explicitly come out and she has wished all the Hindus on Ganesh Chaturthi, and maybe today is her first day as a Hindu.
If I were to follow your narrative, then I would say that she is such a devout Hindu that instead of her fighting against those who are anti-Hindu, she has left it to Lord Ganesha to do the job. And that's why she wished us on Ganesh Chaturthi. So on every other occasion, because she's not a devout Muslim, she's not a devout whatever, she has taken it upon herself to put up their cause and fight for it. In our case, she has left it to Lord Ganesha to do it. How about that? You like that narrative?
I like that. Lord Ganesha is powerful. I would not say word Lord, I would say Bhagwan. But Bhagwan Ganesha is definitely powerful, and he will take care of it, and he will remove the obstacles. And, look, I mean, we welcome everyone to Hindu fold. And if today she has discovered her Hindu roots, then welcome to her. Utsada, I want to read some comments. Himendra Trivedi ji has said Jai Ganesh, and Vishal Sharanji has said that she failed to prosecute San Bernardino bombers, and she is anti-Hindu. Now, we'll see how it evolves. Vishalji, thank you for your comments. But we wish you call us and express your sentiments as well, not just on Facebook, but call us and participate in the show. We are waiting for people to call and participate, and the numbers are posted on Facebook. Also, it is kind of interesting. So, we were talking about Democratic National Convention, and Democratic National Convention was in some ways a study in contrast, right? I mean, there were a lot of sessions that where Indians participated, people who have Hindu names participated, but I looked at the Democratic. So let me ask this. So, by the way, the question today is like a great question answer day, right? So, our first question was that yesterday Senator Harris wished Hindus on Ganesh Chaturthi, and the question was, she has been on Twitter for 11 years. How many times in past 11 years did Senator Harris wish Hindus on Ganesh Chaturthi? And we are waiting for the answer to that. Vic Khandelwalji has said 0 times, and I'm taking more answers as they come in. The other question we asked today was that where is the largest Ganpati statue Murti in the world, and in which country, which state, which location, all of that. And that question is still out there. And I have the third question, Utsada, for our viewers. And my third question for our viewers, Utsada, is in the Democratic platform at the Democratic National Convention signed off on a platform, right? In that platform, the word Muslim appears 6 times. Word Islamophobia appears 1 time. Word Sikh appears, word Jews appears many times, Catholic appears, all of that. Also, the question for our viewers is, how many times the word Hindu or Hinduphobia appear in the Democratic platform? Okay, I'll repeat the question. How many times the word Hindu or Hinduphobia appear in the Democratic National Platform. Okay. Ursula, this is not as hard a question for which we have to guess the answer, right? So I'm going to wait only for 30 seconds and let you give your comments and then give the answer out. But what do you think?
I think it never appeared. I think there is a conscious effort to minimize the Hindu identity in America. I would say more from the Democratic Party side, or the ideologies that are aligned with the Democratic Party side. I think there is a conscious effort to subsume the Hindu identity under a larger South Asian identity, which is a geographic identity, not a socio-religious identity. And the larger South Asian identity is a reflection of the Muslim Brotherhood identity, or in the case of the South Asian region, the Jamaat-e-Islami identity, and gels with Abu Ala Maududi's concept of South Asia. I'm sure nobody in the Democratic Party realizes that or knows about it. I think most people in our community doesn't realize that either, but that's the direction. And I think there is work to be done in ensuring that American Hindu is recognized as American Hindu. There are 4 million of them who are going to be voting this time, around that number. And if this minimization of the identity continues to happen, then it will have its fallouts, and the community will respond at some point, like it did in UK. Because in UK, this exact methodology was used in the 90s, where the Sikh community and the Hindu community in UK was subsumed under what was in UK called the Asian identity. You know, in America, Asian means different. It means mostly Chinese and East Asian countries. In UK, it was the Asian identity which was used and controlled by the Islamists. And that identity consumed the Hindu British and the Sikh identity in UK. That was done in the 90s. And within 10, 12 years, both the Hindus and the Sikhs realized that that was causing great suffering to their respective communities. And so they responded. And I think it's a matter of time that in United States, it's a larger country, so the response might happen in a slower manner. The Hindu community and the Sikh community is going to wake up and realize that this South Asian identity is it's a false identity that is meant to promote an Islamist narrative on their shoulders. And eventually the Hindu community is going to respond to it and come out of it. It's a matter of time. We should expedite that process, because the earlier we come out of that identity and establish the American Hindu identity, the better it is for our future generations.
So I largely agree with you, but I think that we want to, I don't want to, always go back to the narrative that it is, however right it is, that it is because of Islamists or whatever else. I want to make a more positive assertion. I want to say that this is an issue because Hindus have not tried hard enough to assert their Hindu identity. And I take an issue with you on one thing, and that is, I do not agree with you that there are 4 million Hindu voters. I think there are more than 6 million Hindu voters. And this includes Hindus from all different countries, and it also includes Hindus who are second generation, people who are not Hindus but have now adopted Hindu dharma and all of that. So 6 million. But I look at it as not as much from the negative aspects of it, but I'm saying that the Hindus have themselves a lot to blame when we come to when the South Asia narrative is being presented, Hindus are not done enough to be assertive and say that no, there is 1.3 billion Hindus in the world, and there are 1.2 billion Hindus, 1.3 billion Indians. Our identity is either Hindu or Indian, and we are willing to let go of that identity. That is not on someone else, Utsoda. I think that is on us, and we have not done enough. And look, I mean, if 1.3 billion people are sleeping, you cannot say that my alarm clock didn't go off. Okay, it's not the fault of alarm clock. If collectively 1.3 billion people have decided to just hit a snooze button on it or turn the alarm off. So I take responsibility. I do not want to blame Islamists. I don't want to blame the great plan that leftists have and all of that. I want to say this is something that we better wake up and don't hit the snooze button or turn the alarm off. Moving on with Sada, I want to share this with you. So today is so. By the way, the answer to that question, Sada, you got it right. The number is 0. Okay, no mention of word Hindu in the entire Democratic platform, and no mention of word Hinduphobia, while they mention the word Islamophobia and they mention the word Muslim 6 times. On to the next topic, very related. So that there was only one person, okay, of a major political party who was a Hindu, who actually gained delegates. Okay, a Hindu candidate gained delegates for the presidential primaries, and that delegate was Tulsi Gabbard, the Congresswoman from Hawaii. And so I was flipping the channel. I was looking at C-SPAN, and I was like, oh, maybe did I miss Tulsi Gabbard somewhere? What happened to Tulsi? And there has never been a precedence ever that somebody wins the delegates in the primary and is not invited to speak. How is that possible? And so that then I looked and could never find any reference to Tulsi Gabbard. And so that I then came across this clipping, and I will just share the screen and then I'll let you talk about this. So let me share the screen. And look, Tulsi Gabbard, the only non-white Democratic candidate with primary delegates, confirms she was not invited to DNC. And then Tulsi came out and said, "You're correct. I was not invited to participate in any way." All kinds of random people were invited, Utsada, all kinds. And here is a Hindu candidate and not invited.
Well, there are a couple of points I want to make here, Ajay Bhai, and that is, I think I'm going to be a little harsh on our community as well. Number one, Tulsi Gabbard was the only Hindu candidate to be on the national debate platform for the Democratic Party to have earned any delegates, the only Hindu and the only non-white candidate from the Democratic Party to have earned any delegates. That's absolutely correct. She was also a
Not even Kamala Harris, right?
Kamala Harris is not a Hindu. She's not.
Kamala Harris never won the delegates.
Correct.
She didn't have a single delegate.
Correct. And she's also not a Hindu. She's a Baptist, and she's very open about it.
Yeah.
And so coming back to my point, she's also not an Indian. Tulsi Gabbard is not an Indian. She's a Hawaiian Hindu. So what I see happening here is that a lot of Indians, many of whom are Hindus, most of whom are Hindus in the Democratic Party, completely abandoned Tulsi because she's not an Indian Hindu. Instead, they went and supported somebody who is not a Hindu, but of Indian origin and has not done anything for Hindus, for that matter. In fact, is probably anti-Hindu. So that reflects a lot on the Indian Hindu community, or the Indian community that has Hindu names in the Democratic Party and calls itself Hindus. So what was the worst to happen to, what happened worst to Tulsi was that our own Hindu community of Indian origin in the Democratic Party completely abandoned her. And the Democratic Party itself abandoned her because she's a Hindu. And this is unprecedented. This has never happened in the history of any democratic national convention where a presidential candidate who earned delegates in the primaries was completely deplatformed and not allowed to even be there for a minute. So this is unprecedented, and this shows the level of disregard, at the least, to say the least, the disregard for the Hindu community. And this also shows that the Indian community in the Democratic Party, many of whom are Hindus, don't give a crap about Hindus. And I know many of those people.
So that let me read some comments that are coming in, and I once again urge people to call. This is a participatory program. Please call, express your views. There are a lot of comments on Facebook, so I'm going to read them. Harish Patel ji has said that he supports President Trump, and Haren Hema Mehta says that great idea to create Hindu American identity sooner rather than later. And Harish Patel ji also says that Tulsi is the best, but she's a Hindu, so Democrats kicked her out, and she supports India, so that's why she was kicked out. And he also says that he wishes that Trump wins and gives Tulsi a minister post. Again, we welcome all comments. We are not partisan politicians. We are only here for, we are here only to speak of Hindu identity, and we are here to promote Hindu identity. We are, Harin Hema Mehta also says that look at the number of Hindu associations not coming with one voice. American Hindus has to look after the next generation. All voices are welcome here. We are non-partisan. We are only pro-Hindu. So please call, participate. So that other thing that kind of, I'm going to share this, okay? This is not just the Hindu part, right? I mean, I think one of the things that bothered me was, and look, I mean, we have always said, in every show we have said, and I was, I had a statement I issued to one of the newspapers earlier this week, when they asked me about a Biden campaign and, what I thought about Biden saying that all the confessional religions, which includes all the Abrahamic traditions, but excludes the dharmic traditions, should be taught in schools and things like that. And one of the newspapers contacted me and said, "What are your thoughts?" And I said, "Look, I have absolutely no problem if, as Biden has said, Islam should be taught and all that." I said, "Well, first of all, I don't think it's constitutional. But if a president is going to be president of all citizens, then to single out one religion, one faith, and not include other faiths is certainly problematic, right? You cannot say that I'm going to teach certain kinds of religions, but not other kinds of religions. And if you have presidential candidates who is excluding a section of the population, as a president, are you going to be inclusive of all the people? Are you going to be inclusive of certain traditions, or and exclude the other traditions? So that is something that Vice President Biden has to really understand. He has to understand that he is on one hand trying to be inclusive, but by being inclusive, he should not be excluding a large swath of people. And I came across this one thing, so that there was a delegate, and his name was AJ Durrani, and so he did the Pledge of Allegiance. And Utsada, I want you to look at the Pledge of Allegiance that he said in one of the caucus meetings, and tell me what is missing. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to ask you, what is Mr. Durrani actually missing in this? And then, maybe my slide will give away the answer, but if you can see my screen,
Yes, I do.
take a quick look at this.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance.
So now what is missing?
So if most people who are living in America or who have become American citizens would know that one nation under God is the part that is missing from Mr. Durrani's allegiance. And I want to point out something very ironic in this whole conversation and what you just said. So this became a controversy because Mr. Durrani, who is a Muslim American, intentionally removed one nation under God from the Pledge of Allegiance and spoke the rest of it. So under God, he took it out, possibly thinking that God is not the same as Allah, because in Islam, you have to only define God as Allah, and that's the only way to do it. Otherwise, it's blasphemy. So I think I understand where he's coming from. I don't agree with him. I think most Americans should call out the Democratic Party for this absolute travesty. But what is more ironic is that in America, the people who oppose the one nation under God part of the Pledge of Allegiance are mostly atheists. The irony is that Mr. Durrani just sided with the atheists in removing the under God part. Even more ironic is the part that atheists are punishable by death in Islam. So Muslim atheists are usually punished by death. So look at the irony here. Mr. Durrani takes the side of those in America who oppose the Pledge of Allegiance under God part and who are mostly atheists, being a Muslim. At the same time, under Islam, those very same atheists, if they ever live in an Islamic country, will be stoned to death or hung to death or beheaded. So you see the irony, and I hope the Democratic Party sees the irony here.
Yeah, and this became when President Trump brought this up, it became a big fact check because he said in the convention, and this actually happened in caucuses, and it became a fact check and it became a fake news and all the other things. But regardless, so you know what this reminded me of? I spent first few years of my life in India, and there's this controversy in India. The national song of India, not the national anthem, but the national song, which could have been and should have been the national anthem of India, because singing this one song incurred a lot of batan charges and a lot of people going to jail, and some people like Bhagat Singh and Sukhdev and getting hung. And that is the phrase and the song Vande Matram comes from the novel by Bankim Chandra. And Vande Matram is that I bow my head and I pray to Mother India. And despite the historic significance of it, and despite the fact that just in order to sing this song and to pay tributes to Mother India, people incurred such atrocities from British, the significance of that and all of that, and yet there are people in India who say that Vande Matram is against my religious beliefs. And the same people here, or similar people here, are saying that I will not say, even though the Pledge of Allegiance is under God, I'll just not say it. So there is this propensity of changing the country to fit me one way or the other, and not necessarily by democratic process. And again, I don't want to make this a Islam and not Islam and all of the Rutsoda. I just want to say that this particular thing, the video, is worth 1,000 words, and it says a lot more than we can ever we can ever verbalize. It is for everyone to see. It's a very cleverly done Pledge of Allegiance, and if people are not, it is hidden in a caucus, but it conveys a meaning. And it's not like it was done by mistake, because Mr. Durrani was actually reading it. And I just think that we live in a country, and in a democratic country, if there are things we don't like, let's try to change them constitutionally. I just want to say that Harish Bhai Patel said the word God was missing, and he's absolutely right. Please go ahead, Utsada, your comments before we move on to the next stuff.
No, I gave you my comments on it. It is basically the point that there is an irony to this, there is a travesty to this, and if anything, it exposes Democratic Party's complete helplessness in dealing in a fair-handed manner with the diversity that it wishes to achieve. And also, I also need to call out the social media and the fact-checking groups, that instead of trying to minimize this by saying, oh, this didn't happen at the Democratic National Convention, but it happened at the state caucuses, they don't try to, it's a technicality in which you can probably minimize it, but at some point they all will realize that this is more than just a technicality. And I think I will leave it at that.
So now let me show you this other clip and get your comments on it. So this is former President Obama, and I'll start the clip where he...
Good evening, everybody. As you've seen by now, this isn't a normal convention.
So this is President
It's not a normal time. So tonight, I want to talk as plainly as I can. Sweatshops without rights or representation. Farmers losing their dreams to dust. Irish and Italians and Asians and Latinos told, go back where you come from. Jews and Catholics, Muslims and Sikhs made to feel suspect for the way they worshiped. Black Americans chained and whipped and hanged, spit on.
So everything he said, I'm going to say is right. I'm going to say that President Obama's heart is in the right place. I'm going to say that President Obama highlights the fault lines that lie in America. I'm going to say that his compassion for people who have endured a lot stands out. I empathize with what he has said, and I admire him for saying that. Sada, did he forget something?
Yeah, he forgot to mention the Hindus, and that is very appalling coming from Obama, because President Obama grew up in Indonesia, where there is a significant Hindu minority, and President Obama, while he was the president for 8 good years, understood and saw the Hindu community quite well. He was one of those presidents who started doing the Deepavali festival at the White House. So coming from him to actually ignore mentioning the Hindus, while he was mentioning the Catholics and the Jews and the Muslims and the Sikhs, rightfully, very rightfully. He probably doesn't recognize the fact that there were Hindus who were targeted because people thought that every brown-skinned person who doesn't speak Spanish is a Muslim. He doesn't recognize the fact that, Hindus have their temples vandalized every month, literally, somewhere in America. So I think, the conspiracy theorist in me starts to see a pattern here and starts connecting the dot. Just look at all the things we discussed today. I somehow want to start to connect all these dots and see a deliberate effort in minimizing the Hindu identity on the Democratic Party's side. Again, I have to agree with you that President Obama is quite right in mentioning some of these other communities, and his points were very accurate. He's not saying anything wrong. He's just being a little exclusive about it.
Yeah, and so look, I mean, I still am a little baffled, I would say, because when I saw, I hear what you're saying, Utsuda. I hear what you're saying, but I also want to say, Utsuda, that you are completely out of touch with the Hindus in America or around the world. I'm sorry to say that, Utsuda. I know that you're a Hindu activist. You're good of Hindus at heart. You've always been that way. You've spent many years of your life since you were very young and thinking about the welfare of Hindus, and yet I think that you're out of touch, because when Kamala Harris goes up on the stage and she brings up her chittis or her aunts, the Twitter goes gaga over it, and all the Indian newspapers has on the headlines that now we have someone who we can relate to because she talks about her chitti, and and here you are, so the philosophizing and politicizing every single thing. Wouldn't you just what do you need? I think you're going to get a box of Modaks from Kamala Harris, and that will make you happy, I think. But if I were to judge it, so that I'm not a judging person. If I were to judge, I would say that you are out of touch with reality, because everyone likes Kamala Harris, and they think that when in their lifetime would they have ever thought that a vice presidential candidate is going to use the word chitti? And here you're philosophizing everything, politicizing everything, and a person who wants to be a Hindu, you're not accepting that her to your fold. Come on, what's happening?
So as I said, Ajay Bhai, in my previous show, platitudes and surface level attributes that recognize a community don't make any dent in my understanding of issues. So whether it is Kamala Harris eating masala dosa or samosa, or Joe Biden eating samosa, or whether it is Kamala Harris mentioning chitti, which in Tamil means aunt on the maternal side, in which case, Kamala Harris is mentioning about her Masi or aunt Sarala Gopalan. I think this is very good. I mean, if people want to go gaga over it, and it's like the white man or the European saying namaste, and our people going gaga over it. So, on one hand, we have these issues we are discussing, real issues that affect the life of people now in America, in other parts of the world, as well as the children that people have in America, American Hindus, the second, third, fourth generations to come. And on the other hand, we have these small little platitudes of samosa eating and chai drinking and dosa eating and chittis. My objective is to tell people to evaluate things on the real value. And the real value lies in policies, in approaches, in decision making. And that's where the rubber meets the road. So I may be out of touch with many of these thought processes, but I take pride in holding on to those analyses.
I didn't say you're out of touch with thought process. I just said you're out of touch with Hindus.
Well, I think there are a lot of people who do understand what I'm saying. I think there are a lot of people who care about what I'm saying. And I think this is one of the reasons why the Democratic Party is actually working hard to even do these little things that it can do, So otherwise you would not even have heard the chittis coming out of their mouths. Or
one of these days I'm going to run a poll to say that how many people care for the issues Utsada mentions, and how many people would rather say that I'll give up on that, but I'll have a samosa.
Yeah, I mean, I will have a samosa too, but but I will have a samosa while I care about the issues.
So that but you also forgot to mention one thing that you were going to bring up, and I just want to remind you that you're good. I should bring it up that uh, you have a very good clipping. I don't know if you want to show the clipping or you want me or you want to just read off on that. And that is about the Pillayar Ganesha Mandir, where and Kamala Harris. Do you want to talk about that?
Correct. Speaking of chittis and Sarala Gopalan, who is Kamala Harris's mother's sister, aunt, before she ran in the national level for Democratic Party and wanted to get to the Washington, D.C. platform, she ran for the Attorney General of California, and she was the Attorney General of California, state of California. And at that time, she had written that she had asked her Masi, her aunt, Sarala Gopalan, to go and break coconuts at the Pillayar Ganesh temple in Chennai, near Chennai. And that she said at that time that it was to seek blessings from the Hindu deities. But then after she became the Attorney General and then she decided to move on to the national level politics, she completely became quiet about that side of her heritage. And she only called herself an African American who was a Baptist. Until recently, when her father, who is from African heritage, from the Caribbeans, came out and disowned her and said, I have never actually been close to her. I've not known her since she was 7 years old. So then now Kamala Harris has gone back and re-embraced some of her Indian Tamil heritage, which is very, very, very good. And, as we have said in the beginning of the program, we appreciate her reconnecting to that side of her family, But it's an interesting study in how politicians think. It's a very interesting study in how politicians operate anywhere in the world. I mean, I think it's common in America, it's in India, it's everywhere else.
It's everywhere.
They really think about what gets them the votes. And I think that's very fascinating.
And for people who are just joining us, I want to remind them, this is Hindu Lounge. Hindu Lounge is our weekly show on contemporary American Hindu issues. It is brought to you by Hindu Pact, which is a policy research and advocacy initiative of World Hindu Council of America, that is WHPA. And we come live every week on Sundays at 11 o'clock Eastern and corresponding times on all the other time zones. We talk about issues that impact American Hindus. That is our sole goal. We are not political show. We are in terms of political, in terms of advocating one candidate to the other. We certainly talk about political issues, and we talk about advocacy issues. We talk about Hindu issues, and it is a call-in show, and we welcome people to call, join the conversation, and participate in the show. Utsada, you're right. I mean, look, I think Hindus have an open door policy. Okay, people can come, people can go. We welcome everyone. We don't have card-carrying Hindu members. We don't issue identity cards. We don't issue membership to Hindu faith. We are very broad. If you ask me, I think she has a bigger problem claiming her Hindu heritage if she is also claiming a Baptist heritage, because all the other faiths are not as dual faith, dual citizenship kind of thing. So I think she might have to mend some fences at the other end rather than our side. We are just, please, Kamala, come on in. We welcome you anytime. Okay. So I'm good with her, even if she finds Hindu Dharma today and she forgets about Hindu Dharma tomorrow. All I would ask her is, whether you are Hindu or you're not a Hindu, please, as a major candidate for running for an office, don't be a Hindu phobe. Don't ignore Hindus. Don't use Hindus. Don't abuse Hindus. Okay? And otherwise, look, your faith is your thing. If you wake up today, you feel like praying, pray. If you don't feel like praying, don't pray. That's between you and the God you have chosen. It's the same God, but the form of God you have chosen. And look, I mean, we don't have any problem. Right, Utsudha?
That I agree. Yep. And that's a very Hindu way to put it, Ajay bhai.
And also now look at, contrast some of these Hindu politicians with Linda Sarsour, right? Uh, Introduce her to Linda Sarsour. You know about Linda Sarsour more than, a lot of other people do. And tell us what happened with Linda Sarsour and the Democratic National Convention.
So Linda Sarsour is one of the founders of the Women's March, if you all remember. The Women's March that came up in Washington, D.C. after President Trump was elected. A very fascinating and popular event. It's faded away over the last 4 years, but became very popular in 2016. She was one of the founders of that. It was later found out that she was also very closely connected to the Muslim Brotherhood from the Middle East, not Jamaat-e-Islami of the subcontinent, Indian subcontinent, but Muslim Brotherhood from the Middle East, which is a brother organization of Jamaat-e-Islami. And Linda Sarsour was called out for her strong anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic pronouncements. And she continued to get a platform in the Democratic Party for a while. And then she was deplatformed from the Women's March because of her continued hatred against Jews and of course Hindus, but not many people in America care about what Islamist says about Hindus, especially on the liberal left side. But because she was very anti-Jewish, very anti-Semitic, she was deplatformed from the Women's March. So she created her own Women's March, which was the International Women's March. And interestingly, she got a platform at the Democratic National Convention. And she spoke there, and that created a lot of protests from the Jewish American community, many of whom, I would say majority of them, are actually supporters of the Democratic Party. There is a significant support for the Republican Party amongst them too. So the Jewish American community that supports the Democratic Party was very upset at having Linda Sarsour, an Islamist aligned with Muslim Brotherhood from the Middle East, get a platform at the Democratic National Convention. So the Biden campaign, which is Vice President Joe Biden's own team, came out with a statement, and he said that Joe Biden has been a strong supporter of Israel and a vehement opponent of anti-Semitism his entire life. And he obviously condemns the views of Linda Sarsour, as does the Democratic Party platform. So Biden campaign came out and disassociated itself from Linda Sarsour, who was on the Democratic National Convention platform. So this points to a very interesting phenomena. And that is that even the presidential candidate, Joe Biden himself, for whom the entire DNC 2020 platform was created, has no control over who gets to speak and who doesn't get to speak. I mean, if Joe Biden cannot control whether a supporter of terrorist organization, Linda Sarsour is a supporter of Hamas, if he cannot get her off the stage and has to come out with a statement afterwards, after she has gotten the stage, I think we all have to look at what's going on in American politics a little bit more closely, especially what's going on the liberal side of the American politics. And, this entire...
So let me give you another perspective. And other perspective is, I actually admire Linda Sarsour. And I wish that Hindu politicians learn from Linda Sarsour. Because after Biden issued his statement, this is what Linda Sarsour said. She said, "To my dear Arab American and Muslim American communities, I am humbled by your support. I am proud to be your daughter. I'm honored to fight for you every single day. I will never cower. I will always stand by my beliefs. I will never be afraid. I am because of you." Utsada, no Hindu politician that I know of in America has the spine to make the statement that Linda Sarsour made. And I, Utsoda, for one, admire what she said despite being chastised by Vice President Biden.
Well, I mean, I appreciate the fact that you see the quality of and fervor in her. Of course, it's arising out of fanaticism, many of which is directed against you and me. So, and the Jewish.
Well, all I'm saying is that, look, I want a Hindu politician. I didn't say that I agree with her on philosophy. I'm saying that I want the Hindu politicians to grow a spine and stand up for the Hindu community like she stands up for her community. Not a single Hindu politician. Okay? We have a Samosa caucus in the House and Senate. And look at these people. There's Kamala Harris and Pramila Jayapal and Ro Khanna and Amy Bera and all the other people who are elected, right? And
I mean, the thing is,
none of them stand up for Hindus.
Yeah, that's the reason is that Ami Bera doesn't consider himself a Hindu. He's a Christian.
He doesn't say Christian. He calls himself universalist.
Universalist.
Yes.
Kamala Harris says herself a Baptist, which is a Christian denomination. Pramila Jayapal doesn't call herself a Hindu either.
Ro Khanna calls himself Hindu.
Ro Khanna does call himself.
Raja Krishnamurti calls himself Hindu.
So out of many of the people, I mean, the thing is that these people are there because their agendas are different. And Linda Sarsour is a Muslim activist aligned with Muslim Brotherhood. She obviously has the spine to take on anybody. It's not that easy to be that level of, fanatics have a spine too because they are fanatics.
But look, but I mean, I don't quite agree with you because I know that Pramila Jayapal, Ro Khanna, Amy Bera, all of them got, and this is a topic for another time. I know we are running out of time and I don't want to prolong this topic, but all of these people that we mentioned, Raja Krishnamurti, all of them got Hindu support and Hindu money to get elected the first time. Okay, so it is not like they didn't get the Hindu community support. It's just that they abandoned Hindus in order to get more political mileage. And that is a problem, Utsoda, that at some point, Hindus will have to wake up and face head on and pick the right candidates who will advocate for them, just like Linda Sarsour is advocating for her community. Utsoda, we are at the end. So I want to give out the answer. I want to put up the slide where we answer the question that you posed in the beginning. So here is the slide, and please give us the where is the largest Bhagwan Ganpati statue located? Utsoda, your answer. Oh, and before you answer, I want to tell people that we still have our two most widely anticipated sections: the Hindu Seva Charity Act of the Week and the Hindu Phobe of the Week, something that everyone stays till the end to know. Utsoda, the largest Ganpati Murti in the world.
So this is the largest Ganpati Murti in the world, and I don't know if people realize it, but it's not in India. It is in Thailand, and it is in Trong Quyen, which is Chocheng Sao province in Thailand, and it's a 39-meter high Murti, and it was installed by the Thai princess. So that's something new for me to know, and I don't know how many people knew this. I didn't see any answers. So, and I'm sharing this via a very popular history narrative account called True Indology. I would encourage everybody to follow True Indology on Twitter, on Facebook, as well as on Instagram. So it's fascinating, very accurate, very well researched, and often new information that may change your worldview. So,
right. So that with that, Hindu Seva Act of the Week.
So the Hindu Seva Act of the Week, and I'm going to be very quick with this, with the last two sections, because we are way over time, as always. The Hindu Seva Act of the Week is a project by Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America, the World Hindu Council of America. This time it's a Support a Child's event on August 29, where everybody is going to have a good time, having lots of laughs. It's a comedy show. And in those of you who understand Hindi, it's a Hasya Kavi Sammelan. It's a comedy poetry act convention, and all the proceeds would be donated to Support a Child project, which is a World Hindu Council of America project for people in the Indian subcontinent, India, Nepal, Bangladesh, and some of those countries. So go ahead and support it, share it with your friends. This is something that helps people out where they need it. And
with that, Usada, the Hindu Form of the Week, and this one has to be right up on the top, Usada. Every week we try to find one. We find a dozen of them. It's so hard to pick Hindu Form of the Week. Tell us about this one.
So we have the Hindu Form of the Week is the railway minister from the country of Pakistan. And he actually calls out that their country, Pakistan, has devised nuclear weapons that can kill Hindus without harming Muslims in India. Because as most people know, India has more Muslims than Pakistan does. And historically, India was converted to Islam and was under Islamic control for about 700, 800 years, most of what is India today. So this is fascinating, and I'm curious to find out the exact sensors and that Pakistan is going to be using in its nuclear weapons that will single out the Muslims from Hindus. And as a student of science, Ajay bhai, we all are wondering what that sensor is going to be and how that sensor is going to be deployed.
So he actually said that he has, actually said quite a bit. He said that that Pakistan has the ability not to nuke just the parts that are near the borders, but if you know the geography of India, he said that his nukes can hit precisely in Assam, which is in the northeast corner of India, near West Bengal and Bangladesh and all of that. Very, quite a bit of Muslim population over there. And then he said that it is a precise weapon and it will not harm any Muslim, because a lot of Muslims in that area. So he said, well, it will only kill Hindus and it will not harm any Muslim. And so why do we do Hindu Form of the Week? Why don't we just do a nutcase of the week? Because it's like almost equivalent here. This guy is so full of hatred. He's so full of hatred.
I disagree with you, Ajay bhai. This is where I disagree with you. I think nutcases are people who are irrational and are crazy. These people are not crazy. This is what I try to explain to everybody.
Oh, this is a smart guy who actually invented the actual sensor. Well, you're right.
These are responsible, educated people who actually believe in that. And this is what my point has been for a long time to a lot of people, that you may think these people are crazy because you have a rational thought process, you have an open mind, and you're probably more educated. But these people actually believe in this, and they are quite a few people, millions of them in this world. And when they have weapons, when they have nuclear weapons, you can see what the world will come to. And not to be taken lightly, it needs to be taken very seriously.
We're not taking it lightly, Utsada, but not taking it lightly. But come on, these are the kinds of people who, in 100,000 of them, who actually surrendered to the Indian Army in 1971. So it's not a question of taking them lightly. This person has, probably what's the most charitable way of saying this? Let's just say that he forgot to put on his brain in his skull on that day, and he just spoke.
No, I think he has his brain where it needs to be, and he has his everything in the right place. The only thing that is not in the right place is his thought process, and the thought process stems from a religious dogma which needs to be called out. And I think with that, we should probably leave our audience.
So what I'm going to say is that let us send him a box of samosas.
Well, he will eat those samosas quite well because samosas are very popular in Pakistan.
I know
While
that.
he plans the nuclear attack on India, that singles out Hindus and kills them.
No. While he designs this sensor, he will eat the samosas. So let him design the sensor that will sense the Hindus and then kill the Hindus. Okay, so let's.
He's already designed it. Ajay bhai, he's already designed.
Maybe we'll. So look, I mean, we'll also, if that's not enough, we'll also send him masala dosas. Okay, so let us send him masala dosas and samosas and help him design a sensor. Who knows? I mean, maybe he'll come up with something that will sense and separate out Hindus and Muslims and just target Muslims with his nukes. Untitled Chapter, thank you very much again. It was a great show. I enjoyed the chat and the conversation. And I want to remind everyone, once again, this is HinduLounge. HinduLounge is a presentation of Hindu Pact, which is a policy research and advocacy initiative of World Hindu Council of America, VHPA. We come live every Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern. We are on Facebook, we are on live, we are on YouTube live, and we are on Twitter/Periscope live. So please join us again next week, and we will continue the conversation. We have a lot of topics planned out for next week. We also know that the Republican National Convention is coming up, so there's a lot to talk about. There is also now commercials targeting Hindus that has come from Republicans that came out last night. The commercials coming out from Democratic sides. So this time, Hindu vote is in the play, and this is your place to learn about the issues, learn about the candidates, and then decide who you want to vote for. With that, with my co-host, Utsav Chakravarti, who is our Executive Director of Hindu Pact. I am Ajay Shah. I'm the Executive Vice President for the World Hindu Council of America. I want to thank once again all of you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week. Namaste.
Namaste, everybody, and see you next week.